Yangmingshan, it's always been a natural paradise, offering some of Taipei's finest views. Recently, visitors have been flocking to new attractions, ones that 10 or 20 years earlier would have been unthinkable. Places like Chungshan Hall and the old U.S. Army dorms.
Now, Chungshan Hall was the meeting venue of the now-defunct National Assembly and an office of former President Chiang Kai-shek. Once strictly off-limits to ordinary folks, these places are now more accessible to the public than ever before. Our Sunday in-depth report.
This majestic symphony captures the grandeur of Mount Everest, the world's tallest mountain. And these senior couples look half their age as they glide across the floor in a ballroom dance. What makes the performance even more special is its location. This is the State Banquet Hall of Yangmingshan's Chungshan Hall. For decades serving as the dining hall for distinguished guests and members of the National Assembly, it was off-limits to the public. Now, the doors are wide open, and the grand space offers a relaxed atmosphere for recreational events. Chungshan Hall was built directly on top of a sulphurous hot spring in Yangmingshan National Park. It was the meeting place of the now-defunct National Assembly and the home and decision-making center of Chiang Kai-shek.
他很会选择基地，那个地理区位是防御性强。
He was very good at selecting bases. This spot has excellent defensive features, and it's a good vantage point. The geography really has superb feng shui, with auspicious landforms on both sides, representing yin and yang.
In 2013, management of Chungshan Hall was handed to the Education Ministry's National Taiwan Library. The new management began allowing the public to rent out the space. It also offers daily tours of the first and third floor exhibition halls, led by volunteers. Chungshan Hall also welcomes students on field trips, who learn about its place in the development of the R.O.C. Constitution.
In those days, this was where they amended the Constitution and where ballots were cast for president and vice president. Seeing hundreds of representatives here working on the Constitution, that scene was absolutely spectacular.
Lawmaker Rosalia Wu was once an assistant for the Constitutional Caucus of the National Assembly, and she has many memories of Chungshan Hall. She's disappointed about how the building is being used today.
让孩子们来见证这一个台湾的民主化的历程，我觉得非常好。
I think it's very good for children to be able to come here and see this part of Taiwan's democratization. But many of the children who have visited don't feel that there's anything special to see here. You need to have a good guide in there. You have to tell the story of democracy, and you have to tell the story of the space. You have to draw on a good curator, a good exhibition, some special arrangements.
A wealth of history lies along the terrain of Yangmingshan. Not far from Chungshan Hall, there are 118 dormitories previously inhabited by American soldiers.
那这些美军宿舍其实大概建于1951年以后。
These U.S. Army dormitories began to be built shortly after 1951, that is, during the Korean War. U.S. military advisors started coming to Taiwan. They needed a place relatively close to the American embassy in Taipei, and they saw that this area wasn't bad.
In 1979, Washington cut its formal diplomatic relationship with the R.O.C., and American forces withdrew from Taiwan. The U.S. dormitories were left vacant and fell into disrepair. Over the past few years, the Department of Cultural Affairs has tried to revitalize the area through its Old House cultural movement, sending in enterprising locals who see its potential and are keen to give it a new purpose. This courtyard offers a leisurely brunch, and it's a perfect pit stop for cyclists going up the mountain. Hsiao Hsiu-min is the tenant of this space. She's given the interior a movie studio theme, bringing in decor like a Betacam tape tabletop, a lampshade made with 35mm film, and a ceiling light fixture fashioned out of cassette tapes. Most eye-catching of all is this creative toilet sign.
像这个厕所的灯啊
This toilet sign is a recording studio light sign. When you're using the restroom, it switches to on air, which means don't come in, do not disturb.
Another business that's renting dormitory space from the Department of Cultural Affairs is this family-friendly bakery.
现在我们看到这边就是1号店。
What we see here is store number 1, which was designed in the style of a 1950s cafe. Store number 2 is next door, and the thematic concept there is the sponge cake. It has a DIY classroom, where they offer some hands-on cooking classes.
Commercial development has found a new use for the US military dormitories, but it hasn't restored a connection with the area's historical context.
在过去的5年以来，
In the last 5 years, all the spaces have been rented out, but we at the Department of Cultural Affairs feel that there's little in the way of introducing this area's historical background.
Lawmakers say that this area of Yangmingshan will only find its raison d'etre if all the buildings are considered together and dealt with as a coherent whole.
以中山楼为首的园区。
They should see a park with Chungshan Hall as the centerpiece. Park comprises Grass Mountain Chateau, Grass Mountain Royal Guest House, and Taipei Teachers In-Service Education Center, as well as Yangmingshan Wu and the American military dormitories. Really, a wide range of buildings speak to what it was like in Taiwan in the 1960s.
Once veiled in mystery and reserved for elites, Yangmingshan reopened its gates after the end of martial law. It's now closer to the public than ever before, but without the contextualization of history, its restoration can never be complete.